we have to talk about some stories coming out of South Arizona. We go to the Arizona Daily Independent, where Representative David Schweikert asked his colleagues in Congress, if you love people, can we at least have an honest discussion of what the president asked for following a breakout of cartel violence near Cochise County. Cochise County is in southern Arizona. They're warning residents to stay safe as out-and-out fighting and warfare is being conducted between two cartels in the towns of Agua Prieta, Naco, Sonora, and Nogales, Sonora, just on the other side of the Arizona-Mexico border. Arizona Congressman Schweikert spoke passionately from the floor last week on the subject. Let me see if I can actually get that audio up here from Schweikert. Hold on to your butts. This is what happens when you don't have a producer and you got to try to do this crap yourself. So bear with. Here we go.
Means I do trade
Here we go.
have going on around us. There was something I wanted to start with. Typically we come to the floor and we spend time talking about what's happening in the country economically, demographically, what we must do to keep our promises. I sit on Ways and Means. I do trade and tax policy. But before we put that up, need to touch on something that's incredibly frustrating. Being from Arizona, and we obviously have a border issue. We talk about it, we do nothing. How many of you have seen the news the last couple days that we have gun battles going on just south of Douglas, Arizona? We may have 9, 10 people who've lost their lives. We've had a teenager get hit by a stray bullet. We've had a couple of folks, apparently one, crawl to the border and is now in an Arizona hospital. A couple are in Arizona hospitals. Where's the press? Where's the discussion of what's going on? And apparently we have a war going on in Agua Prieta, just south of Douglas, between these cartels that not only move drugs, but they exploit human beings. These are the very cartels that are taking humans and smuggling them and trafficking them up to the border, and now they're using assault weapons and killing each other. Of course, we would care about that, wouldn't we? Except it doesn't get any news here because it doesn't fit the narrative. If you love and care for people, could we at least have an honest discussion of what the president's asked for with some money for humanitarian aid to take care of those who've presented themselves at the border for refugee status, but understand the violence that's spilling over into my state of Arizona and what's going on. And I guess I come to this microphone just frustrated that this story broke out yesterday in Arizona. Where's the national outcry? Where's the national understanding of the chaos that's happening along our southern border and the lives that are being lost? Do we care?
C-SPAN cut him off right there, but he's dead on, guys. He is dead on. He's spot on about this. Where the hell is the national outcry? Where's the New York Times and Washington Post sending their news crews down to Douglas, Arizona and poking their damn nose in where it doesn't belong on this one? A child tragically passes away at a Border Patrol facility due to no fault of the Border Patrol agents who detained the family. They're on it like a fly on a horse shit. But any kind of news about how there are sections of Arizona that are no longer under the effective control of the authorities of the United States, Aho, or, Gila Bend or areas like that, areas where tribal police down on the Tonaho O'odham Reservation, where Arizona DPS and Maricopa County Sheriffs and Pinal and Cochise County Sheriffs know they cannot go unless they go in force. Where just over the border there is an out-and-out battle like you would find on the streets of Fallujah in Agua Prieta, about 15 minutes south of Douglas. But where's the mainstream news media?
Have going on around us. There was something I want.
Sorry about that. Where's the mainstream news media? Where's CBS, NBC, MSNBC? Hell, where's Fox? I mean, where's OAN even? One American News Network. Who's covering this? Nobody. Nobody gives a single shit. And you know, Schweikert's pissed. And he and I haven't agreed on a lot of things. I met the man. You know, I found him to be very... What's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to be diplomatic about this. I found him to be kind of a dick, actually. But, you know, there's no law against being a dick. He seems to be a nice enough guy, sure, but he comes across as very cocky, very cocksure. He's very smart, man. He's extremely intelligent. He's, you know, judged by many as being the mathematician in Congress, and he's good at what he does. But he sometimes rubs people the wrong way, myself included. You know, I met him at the first meeting, I think first or second meeting I went to of ASRA, the Arizona Republican Assembly. And yeah, Dave, I just didn't care for the guy personally. But looking at the work that he's done and looking at the impassioned stance he just took on the floor of the House, you know what? You know, press F for David Schweikert, boys. You know, slow clap for Representative Schweikert there. Good job. You know, as a follow-up on this story from the Arizona Daily Independent, the ADI out of Tucson, the fighting between the two cartel factions resulted in the death of 10 people who were killed during an afternoon shootout near the Mexican border at the Douglas Port of Entry on Monday, June 10th. It occurred very close to that port of entry. And further story that came out just on the 14th here is that officials are closely monitoring the continued cartel violence in the town of Agua Prieta and Sonora along the border. The unofficial death toll from an incident on the 14th is now at 6. So we now have 16 unconfirmed, 10 confirmed dead, another 6 unconfirmed dead from shootouts happening just over the border, from open gun battles happening just on the other side of the border. According to Douglas police, 2 more shootings occurred at 9:30 in the morning. And they're advising their residents on the American side of the border, quote, to avoid the area and exercise vigilance if traveling to Agua Prieta and neighboring areas. The port of entry in Douglas is currently open. So they're advising their people that the port of entry is open. Watch your 6, because this could spill over. And historically speaking, this has happened again and again. This happened 100 years ago during the Mexican Revolution, when battles would regularly spill over the border into Arizona, specifically. Nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. We just all go on about our business, right? Pisses me off, man. It only gets news when it fits a narrative. And saying, hey, President Trump is right, our border is out of control, there are gun battles happening there on a daily basis, people are dying, does not fit the left's narrative, does it? You know, there are people pouring across the border in droves, 1,000 at a time, in Yuma, Arizona, and in San Diego, California. No, that doesn't fit the narrative, so that doesn't get any play in the mainstream media sources. What does fit their narrative is this little child, God rest them, unfortunately died due to an illness that could have been prevented, but their irresponsible parents decided to cart them from Central America through the rainforests of Honduras and Costa Rica into Mexico, throw them on the back of a 60-mile-an-hour moving train they call the Beast, get them from there all the way up to the border where they can sit and stay in squalor on the Mexican side of the border until they take a risk and try to swim through a polluted river and jump a 6-foot-tall 10-foot tall in some places, fence, and then walk through the desert for 2 or 3 days. And the child tragically dies. And apparently the death of that child is the fault of the Border Patrol agents and medical personnel who desperately tried to save them. Who tried to protect them from the grossly negligent, irresponsible actions of their own families. In many cases, or of the absolutely despicable coyotes and other fraudsters and criminals who try to carry them over the border. And oops, I just called illegal immigrants criminals by nature, because that's what they are. Am I going to get thrown off YouTube now?